had the concert. So
sorry that my face. I was switching hands with the camera. So yeah, my arm was getting tired. Anyway. Well, hello there, friends. We are coming at you today with a little bit of kind of like a final thoughts video for our recent MSC Meraviglia Cruise. If you haven't watched our vlog series, I'll definitely link that below or put it in a card above. But anyway, yeah, we pretty much documented our whole trip, but we really didn't talk much about like what we liked and what we disliked as we were going along. We just sort of, kept it pretty neutral. But the point of today's video is to kind of go over those things. And we apologize if there's noise in the background. We are currently in our backyard, and our dogs are also in the backyard, and they like to bark at things that exist. But yeah, let's get started with things that we disliked and then kind of end on a positive note. Does that work? Does that make sense?
Sounds good.
Okay. We'll go ahead and have Carlos go first. Carlos, what are some things that you thought could be better about our MSC cruise?
So the 3 things I didn't like was that they approached us every single day, like 10 times a day, to buy their upgraded dinners, I guess, to the steakhouse, to the Mexican restaurant, and to the where they cook the food in front of you.
Right, the hibachi teppanyaki place.
Yeah. So that was my main one that I did not like because they were very, very, very pushy.
And I think that translated into like excursions too, because even in Nassau we had that same kind of feel from the people there. So I don't know how it is on other cruise lines, but we definitely felt pressured, I guess, to buy enhanced dining and just kind of like upgrade our experience, which wasn't really something we were interested in. And like, we get it on the first day is fine, but when it's day 5 and you're still approaching us about like this upgraded package, we're kind of like, if we haven't done it yet, we're probably not going to, but
right. And they were not very flexible with what we wanted to, I guess, change around.
Yeah. So the teppanyaki place, we asked, we're not big seafood people, and it was like a multi course or like multi offering prefix menu, and we were like, well, if we don't want the scallops or whatever, can we substitute that for chicken or steak or whatever? And like the majority of the time they just straight up said no. A couple of people tried to say yeah, but like there was a caveat on it, like, but only certain things and only if you buy the more expensive one and blah 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 blah. And it got really complicated, and we couldn't see spending that kind of money because it was expensive. The big, like the highest end package, whatever you could buy with them, or like option for that, was like $80. And to spend that kind of money and not eat half the food was kind of not something we were interested in.
Right. And we couldn't save it for later.
Like
at home.
Where would we put it?
Right.
I think that kind of gives us a nice sort of transition into like what I found the most kind of a miss on the MSC Meraviglia, at least for our cruise, is just this kind of a lack of options when it came to food. Especially like lunch, all we had was the Marketplace buffet, and like I think the food quality was pretty good, but some of the offerings were just kind of strange and things we'd never seen before, and it got really repetitive over the week. I know like on Royal and Carnival and other cruise lines, they have like smaller like restaurant options that are included in your cruise fare, like places where you can get burritos, or they little like taco stands, or even like a specific burger type place or whatever. And I wish MSC had something like that. I mean, they did have their little pizza like thing on the outer like pool deck and the atmosphere bar, but that was literally the same pizza that they were serving inside. So like it was just kind of an extension of the buffet. And it would have been nice to have kind of more options in that regard, because yeah, it did get really repetitive.
Okay, so the third thing that we did not like is that they had a lot of different events that were really, really cool that we enjoyed a lot, but they did not let us know that, like, let's say they had a white party, they had, what was it, a luau day or a beach day?
Yeah, well, they had Caribbean themed dinner, the Italian night, and some people dressed up for all of these things. And it might seem obvious to those of you who have cruised before, but for us, like, we knew there was going to be a formal night, and that's about it. That's all we packed for, And so we had to kind of like make some of the other stuff up as we go along. Like our white party outfits were just luckily we had a white shirt we could wear kind of thing. And so I think communication in general, especially with first time cruisers like us, would have been better. That way we could have packed accordingly and been better prepared for some of those events, that we, thought were great and cool events, but that maybe we didn't feel properly dressed up for, So, and I know some people don't dress up and that's fine and whatever, but like me personally, I love the idea of like, I would have brought a nice fun Caribbean shirt or whatever to wear to dinner. Carlos, maybe not so much, but like, it would have been nice to know so I could pack that stuff,
Right.
And that wraps things up for what we didn't like. I mean, I know that like MSC kind of gets a bad rap in certain ways from American cruisers, and they're still trying to get the American market, and they will. And I have a feeling that in the next few years they're going to improve. But now let's move on to what we did like.
So what we did like is that they had a lot of different things planned for us to do on the ship, like excursions, they had
trivia,
karaoke and all that stuff. So it was a lot of fun. They had shows, they had the casino, they had the concert. So
sorry that my face, I was switching hands with the camera. So yeah, my arm was getting tired. Anyway, yeah, so to piggyback on that, yeah, I did think that the cruise director and the entertainment staff did a really good job of making stuff available to us. They even overlapped a lot of things. In case you weren't interested in karaoke, you could be doing trivia, or in case you weren't interested in that, they had like places to go shopping and, bingo and whatever else that was happening. So one thing I will say, though, is overlapping some of the things that we liked doing was kind of frustrating, because we'd be like, do we do karaoke or do we go to the concert or, whatever. So it was almost like too many things on certain days. But I never felt like we were on the ship with nothing to do, like I think they did a good job of that, especially with it being kind of a modified experience with less people on board and COVID protocols and all that stuff. I think they did a really good job with that.
Right. And the second thing that we enjoyed the most is the staff was very, very, very attentive to everything attentive to us. The cruise director was amazing. She went above and beyond to make sure that everybody was having a good time and that everybody's needs were taken care of.
Yeah, I genuinely felt like they wanted us to have a good experience from the second that we got on board, and they wanted to, us to take full advantage of our drink package. It was never hard to find someone from the bar to get you a drink. The room, I guess, the housekeeping staff was really good, really friendly. He said hi to us every time we left the room. Our waiters and service staff at dinner were like the best ever. And we requested to sit with them every single night. Like, we didn't want to change it up in case it wasn't as good,
Right.
So yeah, the staff was like top notch. We were treated like royalty. I would say hands down, probably the best bullet point on this list.
Correct.
And then to sort of like add on to that, speaking of dinners, we thought that the dinner quality
was awesome.
Was very good. I mean, restaurant quality food, and definitely not how we eat it like at home. Like, you don't get multi courses at home. You know what I mean? And so that's definitely, we talked bad about the buffet, to an extent, but I think the dinner service and, even the one time we went down to breakfast service, it was pretty good. And the breakfast buffet was also really good, on top of that. So food's kind of like a half and half, like, half in the bad column, half in the good column. But that is something to be aware of, that MSC food, is hit or miss. And that's not, something that's unknown. It's pretty common knowledge.
But you won't go hungry.
Yeah, but there's always something that you can find,
Yeah.
whether it be a plate of fruit or a slice of pizza or something,
They have a lot of healthy options as well.
That's
for
another thing,
people
yeah.
that like to eat healthy.
And plant-based stuff as well. I think they're getting better about that too. So, yeah, the food wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Like, it, kind of a mixed bag.
Right.
And then the last thing we wanted to talk about is how simple the boarding process is. Up until embarkation, we were getting emails like every other day with different information, making sure we had different things that we needed. As far as communication goes, I felt like they were really good about that. They told us where to look if protocols were changing. I felt like they notified us pretty quickly when, like, for example, the number of days for testing changed from 3 to 2 during our sort of process. So they were quick enough to get us that information for us to make sure we had it done right. I know some people have complained about that, but honestly, like,
Gotta be organized.
Well,
if
be
you're
organized,
and everything will be fine.
And times are weird right now anyway, so just keep checking the protocols every other day or something. Just because things are just ever changing. Like that's the only thing that's consistent right now in cruising is that it's inconsistent. So, but yeah, so we wanted to talk about our, the embarkation specifically. It may have just been unique to our cruise since there were so few passengers, but it was super quick. I mean, we were through there in 15 minutes? Maybe not even. We had all our paperwork ready to go. We were really nervous. We were just fumbling with our forms and stuff. But even with that, they were very, really quick. Accommodating. They seemed excited for us that we were going to be going on vacation, and they got us through there as quickly as possible. There was literally no line. I think there was maybe 2 or 3 people in front of us when we got there. But other people were having issues. So just make sure, make sure you have everything you need before you get there. So you're not scrambling last minute to try to get something done that you should have done 2 weeks ago or whatever the case. But yeah, so those are our likes and dislikes. And then I'll just briefly kind of give a little sort of final thoughts on everything. And Carlos is going to go ahead and start off our kind of final thoughts section.
So my final thoughts overall is that I had a really good time for being my very, very first cruise. I will definitely be going again on MSC, even though they said that it was for an older crowd. But I felt, I'm going to be 39, so I felt that it was fine for anybody pretty much. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to eat, and I had a really good time. So I'm looking forward to my next cruise.
Oh yeah, and Carlos is turning 39 in a couple of weeks, and about a little less than a month after that, I'll be turning 21. So it's going to be, there's a huge age difference. No, I'm just kidding. I'm also in my 30s. Yeah. So, and then my final thoughts, just to kind of close us out, is, I think, especially for first-time cruisers, MSC is a good starting point, especially since, people say that the other cruise lines are better. So you might start with MSC and kind of work your way up. MSC is also pretty budget-friendly. They run some great deals and stuff, too. So if you're looking for almost an all-inclusive experience, for under $1,000 a person, easy to do with MSC. And even less than that, obviously with shorter itineraries and stuff, you could go on MSC for a couple $100 and, have a full experience. That being said, I think that you can find joy and have fun in anything if you allow yourself. Happiness is determined a lot on our own kind of response to things. And it's very easy to get bent out of shape and upset about things. Trust me, I know I'm famous for that. But if you just relax and just kind of go with the flow and take things as they come at you, you can really just have fun with anything. And that includes, an MSC cruise, because definitely there are a lot of things on board and off, for you to have fun with. So yeah, I want to thank you all for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what you see. Subscribe if you haven't already. Y'all have a great night, and we'll talk soon.